You need a vision of who you are, who you want to be, where you want to go, the type of projects you want to work on, because without that, you cannot you can't attract the right people. You're never going to be able to get the people who want to come and work for you and back you. So no matter what, yes, put out the postings, ask for people to give you referrals, get the budgets, get the things, but first start with the vision of who you are and who you want to be.
From Toronto, Phanta Media presents the Not So Corporate Podcast.
Hello. How you doing? It's Mark Drager, the host. I am Roland of the Not So Corporate Podcast. I'm joined here in studio with Roland H. Hey, Roland.
Hi there.
And Leah Earl.
Hello.
And Louis Vazenios.
It's a packed house today.
It is a packed house. We have we have ourselves a dandy little roundtable conversation coming up. Listen, I wanted to welcome all of you listeners and new listeners, those who like what we have to say and those who yell at me on YouTube. You are all welcome. Welcome to the podcast. What are we talking about this week, Leah?
This week, we had a listener email over the past week.
Okay.
Suggesting a topic and asking us a bunch of questions.
Excellent.
And the topic just broadly is how to find freelancers that you can trust to work with in production.
Excellent. So that conversation will be coming up in the next segment. But before we jump ahead to that question, Roland, you got to get something off your chest or what? You're huffing. You're like huffing right into the mic.
Sorry.
You're
you
basically
crying?
Leaning on the mic to do it.
So now you're huffing and crying. What's wrong, buddy? Open up.
I'm just excited with this moment right now.
Roland is fired up.
I'm pumped.
Mm-hmm.
He's. You know what? I used to work for an internet organization that would have. It fancied itself like kind of Google, even though it wasn't.
It was not.
It wasn't, but it fancied itself like Google. And they used to do a morning huddle every morning where the entire team. I don't know, we had 140 people in the office, all had to get together for like a 7-minute huddle. And they always started with this song from like the 2004 World Cup or something. But we used to have to clap and stomp and say fired up and ready to grow. So whenever I hear fired up now,
my goodness, that is terrible.
It wasn't a cult. It wasn't a cult.
Grow.
Don't worry. No, but yeah, they used to. Do you remember the song like "Hey baby, who?
Yeah.
Ha, I wanna know if you be my girl."
Many a wedding I've heard that song.
Right, you're from the wedding industry. Anyway, so that was the song that they would play, and then we'd have to go like stomp, stomp, clap, clap, fired up, ready to grow.
So how long would it take to organize this huddle?
10 a.m. every day. You had to be there. They had 7 minutes that it had to be. We would do that little thing, I guess to get the blood pumping or something, and then any kind of key information would come out. They would do team updates. 7 minutes. Everyone had to get back to work. Then it was such, as like when you're in the video, right, editing or working, whatever. What a pain in the butt to try and schedule production around that.
Sure.
And there were no exceptions.
It sounds like pre-shift when I worked as a waitress or at the movie theater.
Yeah. Well, it comes from like Walmart, I think, does this
Yeah, I'm
like
sure they
thing
do.
where they all get together and they
Similar job
they,
to
like,
working at the movie theater.
I think you have to say like WALMART, and they had to like chant like Walmart. And, like,
that does sound like a cult.
Yeah.
The Walmart cult.
Anyway, but all Roland, sorry, we were talking about you. How you doing, buddy?
Do you want to get something off your chest?
You do.
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. Great. I'm ready.
Excellent.
I'm ready to tackle this.
What'd you have for lunch today?
He's got himself a Starbucks.
I had some pork, some buckwheat, actually barley.
Would you have some
and
tenderloin?
Some Greek salad.
Yeah?
No, tenderloin.
Oh, gosh.
Chops.
What is this, food talk?
Senator chops. Senator chops.
Me and Roland like to know what the other person is eating.
You were having carrots and broccoli.
I was, and now I have
Isn't
banana.
this what Instagram is for? Aren't you supposed to take pictures of your food and
We
post
should
it?
make a private Instagram just for
account.
Roland and Leah food.
Lunchtime. At 11:59 a.m. every day.
Okay, so coming up, we're going to talk about freelancing. Okay, so we got a letter from Daniel
Pistarzy
over at Zen Pictures in Calgary, Canada, and he said that he's pretty new to video production, and he's really curious, because he's just getting into it. He doesn't have his foot in the door of the local film community in Calgary. How do you find freelancers as a production house, as a production company, as a producer, as a director? How do you find your videographers, your gaffers, your production assistants, all of that? Okay, so two, if if he were to be in a different city and he doesn't know anyone, completely just dropping in, how do you find the right type of people? And then 3, how do you ensure that they're actually going to do what they need to do? How can you trust their work? And so to wrap up his question, he basically says that, he can go the Kijiji Craigslist route. He can try and connect with unions, but really just looking for a way to go. Now, this is a great question. And in our very first episode, for those who've listened all the way back, we talked about freelancing, but we did it really poorly. I found out. It was our first episode. We had a great conversation with Chris, who's one of our freelancers, and we spent a good 40 minutes talking about it more from the freelancer side. And, we got a bunch of follow-up questions for that. So let's just have ourselves a good old roundtable conversation around, 1, how do you find freelancers? This is something that, I've spoken about in past vlogs episodes, but it's something that really, I think, scares and worries a lot of new people who are new to the industry.
The first thing you need to know when you're looking at freelancers is, remember, you're the boss. You have the money. So you're running the show, not somebody else. That's the first thing.
Why do you think that's the first thing in your experience?
Because
do a lot of people come across like, I know better than you?
I don't know. He says he's new in the business and then he doesn't know much about it. So I don't know if he has fears about these people know better or these people this. But if you got the deal, you got the client, and you got the job, then you're running the show. You can take their advice. You can ask for best solutions, but he's still the guy calling the shot. I mean, how do you go finding freelancers? It depends. So if you had a understanding of the technical things that go into producing something, then finding people just by Googling is fairly easy. By seeing the reel, by seeing what they can do, is fairly easy. If you don't have that experience, then what you need to do is kind of go with your gut. If you're into video production, you have to have a sense of what video is, what's good is not good, and then from there you can kind of try to get referrals, ask people around. Even if even you can put in Kijiji, you can assess that, and if you all suck, then you just ignore them all. You can go to the union, but really it's all about looking at the stuff, but then just talking to them, because a lot of the stuff, even though you see good work, by the time you start talking to someone, by 5 minutes in, you get a sense whether they're authentic, genuine, they actually want to work with you, they're interested, or where they're literally or they think they're big shots and like you're too little for them to talk to you, and then you say thank you regardless, and then you just scratch them off and move on.
Mm-hmm. So can I ask you a couple follow-up questions to that?
Quick question.
Okay, so when you're Googling, like, what are you Googling? Because like for me, I'd be like, I would Google freelancer.
Well, it depends what you're looking. Are you looking for a cameraman? So you go cameraman freelancer, ENG cameraman, or DOP if you're looking for more high-end kind of.
Okay, that's literally what you're typing in Google, and your location.
So the basic thing is super, super, super simple. You're shopping like you would shop for anything else. So you'll do your research. You'll look like any service that you're looking for. People are out there. If you need a sound operator.
And sorry, do these people have websites? Is that what you're finding?
Everybody. I have a freelance website.
Okay, so if you're a freelancer
RolandandLeah.com.
You probably have a website.
Now, so the thing with this, though, is this is going to get you your first, let's say, like your first round of research.
Okay.
Because if someone is ranking, so let's say, use Calgary as an example. If someone's ranking for director of photography or cinematographer Calgary, if they're ranking, then anyone who's looking for that is going to be coming to them, and they're going to get lots of hits. They're going to get lots of leads. They may not answer. They may be busy. They may be bad at work or sales, or they just may be really expensive because they're ranking first. But at least it's a starting point. And I think the easiest place to start is as you mentioned, that way.
That Google.
Okay, and
because really what you do is you find 10 random names. You just random name, you 10, 12, whatever, 15. Then you go through the work from there. You're going to be able to kill some people.
We needed a location manager in January for a production out of our area. And so it's like, well, where do you start when you need a location manager in an area that we don't have relationships? And so, our production manager, Paul, I just said, hey, I need you to find this. And he just started Googling. And the way we ended up finding a really great person is he actually reached out to local production managers and said, hey, can you service this area? And they said, I can't right now, but you know who you should call? Call Dave or whatever his name is. And Dave ended up being the guy we hired because he got a great referral from someone in the industry who knows their stuff.
So sorry, you reached out to people in like Toronto, in our area, and they knew people.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it's a tight industry. And the thing is, Roland, you mentioned fear. The first thing I do when I call up people is I say, this is who I am. This is the type of company we are. We have very little experience in your area or in your expertise. I'm looking for someone who can help us out. We have budget. Right? And if you lay that all out there, there's not, like, you shouldn't be afraid of not knowing stuff. If you're willing, there are people who are jerks, but there are great people who will be like, oh, no problem, let me walk you through what you need. We needed a field full of snow when I called a special effects company. I was like, I've never done this before. And the guy walked me through it. What should I know? What shouldn't I know? What should I worry about? The best way to do it? What's the pricing? We spent like 15 minutes on the phone.
And the film industry is all about freelancers. So a lot of these people are just who you know. Everyone has people's phone numbers in their phone. So this happens all the time with gaffers or grips. Now, I mean, I used to be a freelancer, so I would know, let's say, Leah. Hey, Leah, I need a gaffer. She's like, busy, but I got these guys. And he sets me like 3 contacts. Now I have 4 contacts. And when I reach all those 4 contacts, then they have other contacts. So it's a little bit of a trust thing. I mean, you need, we get into that maybe a little bit later on, but first thing is just reaching out to people. If you need a DP, and then you're looking through reels and you're like, I don't know if they're good or they're bad, then maybe find another producer or someone else. Like, are these guys any good, or do you know a good guy? And it's all conversations as well. Once you jump on the phone with them and you're honest, like Mark said, listen, I'm a producer, I'm new, I'm not the biggest expert, but I'm looking to do this, and that. And someone can say, oh, it's still a little money. Oh, you don't know what you're doing. Oh, no, whatever. Yeah. Then you're not gonna call him back. But there's gonna be someone who's like, you know what? I know you don't have budget on this, but let's make something happen. Let's work. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, great. And that's how you develop your relationships. Even for us, when we're looking for other companies outside, for example, the Toronto area, I sit down and Google stuff. I find a couple of good companies. I call them up and say, this is what I need. This is what roughly my budget is. Let's talk it out. And there's always one company that doesn't give a damn that I'm reaching out to them. Yeah. But there's like 1 or 2 who are like very interested, and it's just a matter of making it work for the numbers and just connecting with them.
So Roland hit on something there, which I wanted to tie back to, which is there's almost like this snowball effect. So if you're new on day one, year one, you got a whole list of people you got to try and recruit. But, when you get... So Roland came on board as a freelancer, as a DOP, over 6 years ago now.
Last century.
And it wasn't last century. 6 years ago now. And he came because I actually put out an ad for freelancers. I specifically listed it like a job posting, like I was hiring any full-time person, and I just listed it as freelancer. I said, I'm looking to build a roster of DOPs. I got a whole bunch of people angry with me for doing so and for the process I wanted to follow. And Roland, you shared the story, a bunch of podcasts ago where you didn't even want to respond, but look at where it led. And then because Roland knew
now you're a Porsche.
He drives a Volkswagen, but anyway,
hey, it's still owned by Porsche.
It's kind of owned, yeah. It's all part of the same. It's all part of the same
family,
auto group. But then connecting with Roland knows other freelancers, and then we can leverage. Once you have 2 or 3 trusted people, then they're easy to get 5 or 6, which is easy to get 10 or 15, and so on. I mean, it's all about
baby steps.
The longer you're in business, the more people who are just going to proactively approach you.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to look you up or see you or like what you do and go, hey, this is what I do and this is who I am. And then you're almost kind of have the pick of the litter.
And that's so true because
work with.
That's so true because now I get random email of people looking for work that when I was a freelancer, I was trying to get work with them. Yeah. And now they're applying to me.
Dude, that happened to me. And I feel like I don't spend a lot of time going like, dang, we made it. Look at how awesome we are.
Yeah.
But
I do that every morning.
Dare to dare.
I feel like that's all we do here. You come in every day and we're like, crank some music. We are the champions.
No, but when 2 of my teachers from college inadvertently applied to work at my company, they didn't know it was me. They don't remember me as a student, but I remember them. When 2 of my professors, my college teachers, are applying for work,
I think that says something about people that teach media. They're like, oh God,
this says a lot about teachers.
Yeah. I chose to take it as a great achievement, but yeah.
So doing it that way, doing it the Google way, it's kind of like the equivalent of like cold calling. So when I was doing freelance, doing weddings, we relied more on like a referral. So it was like we had good relationships with our competitors. We'd call them up and be like, hey, like, what's going on? You know any good guys? And then be like, okay, yeah, try this guy out. He's pretty good. And the other thing is, it's kind of like life. It's like organically, it kind of happens. The more you're in it, you're doing it, you just kind of find people. We used to find people out on the field because when we were doing weddings, you would use the same locations, right? Mm-hmm. So there would be people there, and you would strike up a conversation, and you would talk with them and be like, oh, okay, your sensibilities are similar, and let's try this out. So, like, the referral thing and, like, just having it happen organically was also good because those were the best people. All the people that we got from, like, Google searches and, like, Craigslist and all that, they were just, like, they were too work for hire, get in, get out. I don't want to build a relationship. I'm not passionate about what I do. I just kind of want the money and I want to run with it.
Mm. You know, so it's funny when you were saying that, I thought back to when I was early in my career. I worked in-house. We talked about this in the previous podcast episode. I worked in-house for this company, and we actually shot in-house a television commercial. And I had no business producing or directing that, and I had no experience, and I had no budget. But Chad,
nice.
But Chad Roberts, who's worked with us recently on some other stuff, somehow I found him through school. I went back to my school and I said to not to the institution, but to my friends at school, and I said, I have this opportunity. I need to find someone who can DP this for me. And he stepped up. He was early in his career. He went to the same school as me, so the alumni thing felt like, okay, well, we both went to the same shitty school. We should be used to, crappy productions. It's not some elite school. And he staffed the entire production for me. Like he even though his role was just DP and not production manager, he brought on he found all of the other relationships, had all of the other staff, took care of everything. Yeah. So that's the other thing is you can look for these people in a production who are your like key point person who will almost help connect you with everyone else that you need at the time. Exactly. If you find that key person. That's and it doesn't have to be a key role. It's just that person who seems to know everyone.
They become that keystone that leads you to like all the other blocks that kind of build your freelance roster.
And that is so true because, like, for example, if I'm looking for, let's say I get a gaffer, and then all I'm looking for is the gaffer. Yeah. The gaffer that's going to find the people to work for him. I don't have to worry about every single head. But if I ask that gaffer, hey, man, I'm also looking for a camera guy. So-and-so are not available. Those are my only two kind of go-to people. He's like, oh, I got someone. Here's some names. Yeah. And then you can find people like that. But it all comes down to like a 5-minute conversation with people, and that's when you'll know.
Because good people roll with good people. It just, like if you have somebody good, chances are,
and there's a saying. With bad people.
There's a saying, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are, right? So it's like.
Wow, deep.
Oh, deep.
Deep cut.
Deep.
I want to ask about something all of you touched on. So are other companies, if Daniel from Zen Pictures reaches out to companies that are maybe more established in the Calgary area for video production, are they usually open to sharing their contacts with you? Is that something that you guys all sort of mentioned?
It depends how you reach out.
Okay. So how do you reach out to get, because that seems like a great resource. How do you reach out to get the sort of friendly, like, yeah, these are our guys, this is who we like obviously?
So it's like any relationship bank, right? It's like any relationship, right? You got to put money in the bank before you can do a withdrawal.
Yeah. Right, okay.
Right? Social media 101, relationship 101. If you're just establishing yourself, get a cup of coffee with the person, right? So Ryan Bergman from Immediate Group, who I talked about earlier in the podcast again, someone who was starting out a few years ago, asked me for a cup of coffee. We got together. I'm at the TED conference, and his logo's everywhere. And I'm like, how the hell did this guy get this thing? I'm like, this company's everywhere. Who the hell are they? And I'm like, oh, it's Ryan. And it turned me from being jealous to being kind of happy for him for the success. We got together again recently, but over Christmas, I was like, man, I need a production manager. And I called him up, and I was like, hey, looking for a production manager. All of our resources are tapped. Who do you have? It was over Christmas. It was vacation time. All this stuff. I'm like, do you know anyone? Can you send us some names? It never panned out. But the point was, I felt comfortable doing the ask because we already had a relationship. Yeah. I'm not. If someone comes to me and says, "Oh man, Mark, I really want to know who you use for sound," and I have no idea who they are, instinctively I'm going to become protective
Yeah.
of my resources, my group, my name, and then when you do the referral, you're referring someone saying like, for all I know, my sound guy might come back and say, "Why did you refer me to this guy? They're a joke. They're terrible. They're you know what I mean." So do spend the time to make the connections in advance and come across these people, and then you got to know there are people we would ask and there are people we wouldn't. You know, I'm friendly with the owner of a large agency. I got a referral once to his production manager, but I have no relationship. I wouldn't go to that big $30 million agency and say, "Hey, who do you use for this? I'm looking for that."
Yeah.
It's too up channel. It's too much of a leap.
Okay.
But I would ask the people who I consider our immediate competitors, because we all
Like peers, I guess.
Yeah, because even though that other agency is not a competitor and more likely to not be offended by the ask, it feels off. The people who are my immediate, it's weird because the people who are my immediate competitors, the people who probably should be less likely to share with me because they feel like somehow we're always competing on these things, I'm actually much more likely to ask,
for sure.
because I actually have a friendly, competitive, what do they call it?
Rapport?
Well, no, there's like some word, like not competition, it's like competition or something, or I don't know.
Because they might be stuck
friendship,
too, right?
So
competitive friendship. I don't know.
Competition.
There's some word that people use to say, you're competing.
Combated.
You're competing, but you're not. But you're friends. There are certain people in the
Yeah.
marketplace I hate.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like, oh man, I want to beat them so badly. And then there are other people where I'm like, and mostly, the difference between me really being upset with someone in the marketplace.
like beat them, not like beat them up.
No, it's a cup of coffee.
No.
It's literally just having a
Okay.
cup of coffee with them, and then I go, you know what? They're decent people.
Yeah.
They're trying to make a living.
Yeah.
They're trying to do right by their clients.
Yeah.
They're good people. They're not shysters.
So that's a good place to start. If you're a new production
Yeah.
company, have a cup of coffee with some people that are maybe just a bit ahead of you.
And it's reciprocal, right? Like if they're stuck, they'll call you. And
Yeah.
vice versa, right?
Right. And you wouldn't hesitate to give your A guys to someone like that, to someone you have a relationship with. You wouldn't be like, well, let's give them our B team because we want to save the A team.
No,
for us.
because really, when you're creating your work, it's not the freelancer brings it's a small slice or more
Right.
part of the whole magic.
But you're the magic.
But I am the magic.
Okay.
They're
That's
thinkers,
cool.
and doers, right?
Right. No, exactly.
Freelancers, for the most part, are going to be the ones that you're willing to share are the doers. If you have, like some of our freelancers have been with us for like 6 years plus.
Yeah, they're in the basement right now.
Have you watered them recently? Anyway, so they're they've been with us a long time. We're probably less likely to share them, but at the same time, if we don't have any
that's
work
a
to
good
kick
point.
them,
Yeah.
if it's been like a few weeks, we haven't given them anything. Someone comes along looking for something, we're gonna want to
You
get
throw
them.
'em a
We're
bone.
gonna want to give them
Yeah.
work. These
You
are
wanna
our
keep 'em
guys,
fat and happy.
right? Or
Yeah.
our gals, I should say.
Yeah.
But we want
Are
to
any
keep
of them
them
girls?
working.
50-50 representation.
Yeah, makeup's almost always for some reason female.
Yeah.
Wardrobe.
For some reason.
Wardrobe's female. Our art direction.
I
is
like
female.
camera female too.
We've had female camera assistants. In our industry, it's hard. It's actually there are fewer women, so we always try to be.
But I'm always welcome. So if you guys are listening and want to send your resume, send it to Roland@phantamedia.com. Thank you.
Now, can I say though, if you're going to send a resume to someone as a freelancer, organizations, at least I think myself, we're much less likely to take you as a freelancer if you position yourself as a production company. So there are a lot of production companies that are actually just freelancers operating as a production company. If you want to work for another company, position yourself as a freelancer, as a worker, not as a production company, because there's this inherent feeling like there's going to be higher overhead. You're going to replicate somehow stuff that we already take care of in-house. And anyway, that's just a little pro tip.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Well, I also notice when that happens, you don't know where they are. Like, are they coming in as freelancer but quietly try to do something?
They might be
maybe I'm
scoping out your business.
scoping out business or like trying to like smoosh up like clients.
But
and
also, if they're a production company, you may have a relationship with them and they may staff it with someone else.
Yeah.
Right? Like our relationship's not with the company. It should be with the freelancer.
I was gonna.
It also it depends on your perspective, right? Like if you're
He literally
Shut down.
He literally just
He
He
waited.
just said talk to the hand. He waved
He
you off.
waited. He waited until I started talking again. and then,
He waved you off.
okay, what were you gonna say?
Go
Will?
ahead, Roland. Go ahead, Roland.
no, go ahead.
We're
Leah,
all
fine.
ears. We
Go
wanna
ahead.
know.
Go ahead, Leah.
No.
What I was gonna say.
Roland, why do you?
is also if you like a project that you've seen. I mean, I really like the way that looks, for example, or whatever. You can always now. Maybe I like to do investigative analysis of things. I find the project, and from there, I find the production company, and I'm able to get the list of the freelancer, and then you can reach out like, "Hey, I really like what you did on that spot.
Yeah,
I would like to collaborate. And if you're cool, I'm new. I'm in this, but." I want to do stuff, and as long as you don't say, a great opportunity to grow, but I cannot pay you now, then people will be receptive.
Yeah.
Want to know another little trick that I feel like is underleveraged? If you go to a pro supplier, so if you're in video, go to a retailer that sells pro gear. If you're in lighting, go to your local lighting place. If it's audio, go to your local audio place. They have people who buy pro gear all the time. Those people who are buying pro gear more often than not are freelancers. And
or Leah's dad.
Or Leah's dad. Or the people working the counter.
Just photography, though.
The people working the counter and the account managers at these locations, at these realtor locations, also do side projects more often than not. If you're selling pro audio gear to pro audio people, you probably have experience in the audio industry. Ask them if they know of anyone. Like we've gotten, Garnett Williams did the voiceover podcast with us. He talked about the fact he gets work from studios because people call studios and say, "Hey, I need a voiceover guy."
That's right.
Like, so if you're looking for, like, if you're desperate and you're like, "Oh man, I so need a grip," call your local rental house and say, "Hey, weird request. I need a grip desperately. Can you connect me with anyone?" Because grips rent stuff from rental houses.
We used to do that too.
Drop the mic.
Also on the topic of like treating them right, it's really easy. Just treat them right. Like treat them well. Pay them on time. Be nice to them. It's really not that hard,
We pay our freelancers. This isn't a brag. This is just to your point.
Yeah.
We pay our freelancers right away. So I cannot stand people who go like, "Oh, I can't pay your bill because I haven't received the payment from the client yet." It's like, that drives me crazy. When we work with an agency or we work with some partner who's like, "I can't pay you because the client hasn't paid me." It's like, that's not my fault. That's not my job. My job is not to carry your receivables for you. Equally, we pay. So sometimes we'll have to wait like 6-9 months, a year for payment. We pay our freelancers right away when Roland doesn't forget to submit the invoice. Right?
Oh.
Sometimes, technologies, those things.
So we're going to edit that out, right?
So
no, what are other tips for forging those relationships? You find a good freelancer. What are some tips? Like make sure that they come back to you. They refer their friends to you.
Just develop relationships. Like I work with people and they sound good on the phone and I go work with them once, twice. And even though they're nice guys, it's just the connection is not happening, and I just kind of like stop calling them because when it comes to this job, it's not. Well, you're not behind computers sending email. You're working together.
There's a camaraderie.
So you gotta build something together. You watch your backs. They watch your back. You're working together.
The other thing is
sometimes people
when people
are
busy all the time.
100%.
Yeah.
When they're busy, you call the great guys and you call them. And every single time you call them and they're busy, I mean, they're good. Of course they're busy. But eventually, by like the 6th time, you're going to be like,
you're gonna
I can't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to reach out to this guy.
Do you even want to go on a date with me or not? You're so mad.
Well, I mean, like there's this great guy that I met before, Roland, Max, right? Great DOP. Everybody loves him in the industry. Great guy. But we were able to work with him once.
Roland's upset.
Do you like Max Armstrong? Roland, yes, you do.
I never met him. But just email, but he sounds like a cool guy.
But you know people who know him.
Yeah, actually, I got referrals through him, like randomly enough.
Did you?
Day, like, hey, Max, I'm Phanta, blah blah, and I'm looking for this. You have someone in mind? So actually,
the camera assistant
came from Max.
Ben came from Max. So there you go.
There you go.
So like 7 years ago, I post something looking for freelancers. He's in a slow period because he's normally union. He's normally doing data management or
first camera assistant.
He does data management as well. But anyway, okay, so he's up to first camera assistant. Back then he was second camera assistant. And he DP'd a project for me. Great guy, super easy to work with, and I could never work with him again. He was never available.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Roland comes along. We start working with Roland all the time. He comes on board full time. But I maintained a relationship with Max because one, love the guy. Like I've tried to work with him and I can't. And we're connected on LinkedIn and this and that. But as Roland said, because I connected with him and he worked with Phanta once, there's a goodwill there. I tried to treat him fair. He tried to treat me fair. He could totally tell, back then I didn't know what I was doing. We didn't have any lighting. He brought his Kino Diva, and we never even shot with Kinos before. Like all I ever shot with was tungsten bulbs. So it's like
Then we use my homemade Kinos.
When Roland started working, he brought his homemade Kinos that he made, which were just, like
they're awesome.
The thing is, you might feel like you don't know what you're doing and you're terrible. That's okay, because there are certain people, the good people, the people you want to work with will work with you where you're at. Right?
100%.
If you are earnest and you're trying, and they will come along with you for the ride, and you will pull them along, and they will pull you along, and you'll lift each other up, and it'll be great. Anyway, sorry for that heartfelt moment, but just like Phanta started so bad. Like, it took us so many years to figure our stuff out. We started so bad. And you know what? Hopefully in 10 years, we look back on now, and we go, man, we were bad back then. I'm hoping the stuff we do now, we look back on as bad, because it means we're even better then. But it takes time.
Okay, what about red flags? So if you're new to working with freelancers, are there any like red flags when you're talking to them, when you're working with them, that you're like, I can't trust this guy, or this isn't gonna work, or whatever?
Well, there's two things. There's their personality.
Yeah.
If they come up and start talking smack, they're rude, and they swear, right away, big red flags. You can have a talk down with them.
No swearing.
On set? No,
On
not
set.
in front of the client.
Right. Okay, that's cool. I was
Right,
gonna
yeah.
say I've heard you two say some swears before.
Anyway, so yeah, red flags.
No, but you cannot be. I don't go to a client like all these dogs.
Right. Oh, yeah. Now more bleeping.
Okay, another one, showing up late.
Yeah.
Right, missing your
Okay.
call time, having to bail early.
Or like you doing the work, and then he's like on the phone texting like, "Hey man, we gotta move." Then he's like, "Yeah, hang on." So it's like, no, come on,
Oh.
like it's a work environment. You had to be on it.
Yeah, that's everyone. We shot this big commercial where I really, really adore the person we have doing set deck, but they brought out a kind of a junior. And later I went up to Roland and I was like, tell that person not to bring this junior out anymore, because it was texting, was on the phone. And that's the thing, like when you're on set, there's certain etiquette. Even if there's nothing for you to do, you can't appear like you're doing nothing.
Look busy.
You have to be, not even look busy, you have to be on standby. And so you
Yeah.
can be on your phone, and if someone says, "Can you help me?" and you're there in a second,
Yeah.
perfect. But as Roland's saying, if you're like, distracted, or if you have a job to do and you're texting, or you're smoking all the time, like you're in the bathroom all the time, or just stuff like that,
Yeah.
we don't want those people on set.
The other thing too is when to become
If you have irritable bowel syndrome, don't come on set. You're done.
pretty much, yeah. Moving on. And if you come with the attitude that you're better than the person that just hired you,
Yeah.
and that you're gonna just diminish their role and make them ridicule them, you just don't feel bad. Oh, I know I'm new. I understand. No, you're the boss.
Yeah.
Get rid of them. Period.
Okay.
That happened to
Yeah.
me when I was in film school. I was DPing something. We got this girl to come and gaff this short film. She was a trainee in the union. I wasn't. I was a student. And the amount of attitude that she gave me, it was just, I got so overwhelmed because I don't know what the hell was going on. My film student, I know everything. I'm trying to understand and learn by doing, while this person was just on my case. Lunch comes, we eat, and I said, you should go home. Oh, no, I can come and help. Like, no, I don't need you to come and help anymore. I need you to go home. And I just stayed with people that didn't know what they were doing.
You fired her.
But I was able to do better work that was doing that with her, because I wasn't being criticized every second for every decision I made. I wasn't questioned, and I wasn't made a fool of, and I didn't have someone doing the opposite of what I was asking to do. Because you know what? Now looking back, if I was wrong, I was able to understand I was wrong, and I was taking my time to learn. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is the difference.
Yeah.
Did I answer the question?
Great advice. Great advice.
Did I answer it?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So early on, when I posted for freelance editors, and here's the thing you're going to come across as an employer. I posted for a freelance editor, and I wanted a junior editor. The post was junior editor. It said, I need someone who understands, this is the time, Final Cut Pro. It'd be great if they had some After Effects experience. I think I was paying $15 an hour or something. That's what I was offering. And 3 of the posts that came back, one of them specifically that I remember really clearly said, you are what's wrong with the industry. If you're looking for someone who has this and this and, oh, this would be nice and that'd be nice and I want to pay $15 an hour, you're destroying our industry. Now, if you want someone who's going to help you, who's going to take your business to the next level, who's going to get you through it, I am that person, and I charge $50 an hour. And it's like, one, I wasn't looking for someone with your experience level. I was saying things were nice to have.
Yeah.
I only have $15 an hour to offer because that's the budget I have. I don't know where all this anger is coming from because I don't think I'm the person who's what's wrong with this industry. But whenever you post stuff, there are going to be people who are offended by your very request, right?
And that's fine.
And you gotta get over it. Now, I clearly haven't because I remember this like 8 years later, but because it really pissed me off. It really bothered me. It's like I saw it as an opportunity to give a recent graduate a chance to work.
That's right.
And the way they saw it was somehow we were eroding the very industry that they worked in. And I just didn't have budget for it.
You just weren't looking for them. That's ridiculous.
I just
weren't looking for them.
I just couldn't afford to pay someone $600 a day.
It was for a freelancer that was at home for 6 months, not getting work. You know, there's the other side of things. When I was a freelancer, I used to get not mad, but like you just get frustrated when everyone just wants you to come out and work for free or for like $100. I'm like, I cannot leave on free. I cannot leave on $100. And you want me to bring the camera, and you want me to bring lighting, and it's like, no, the world doesn't work that way.
Can you cover your own travel as well?
Well, that's easy. That's
Can
fine.
you make your own lights and bring them?
But there were some requests, which is like, okay, well, I didn't get mad. He must was like, you're a douchebag. But at the same time, it's like, that's not real. It's so garbage. And, when you're young, when you're new, you come out and do some of this, and some people do, and that's why it continues to happen, because people are like, oh, I need experience, I need that, it's better than nothing sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's like, there are some people out there who are and want to take advantage, and
you're going to have to bleep that one too.
Bleep it, fine.
Wait, we're bleeping that now?
Yeah.
We're bleeping
all swear words.
Oh, gosh.
Why? It's not a swear word, is it?
You're gonna bleep
If I could just jump in here.
I didn't think so.
So yeah, what Roland's talking about is pervasive in the industry. These people that come out with all this bravado, and they think they know everything, and their equipment list is longer than their skills list. It really bothers me. It's just,
you sound bothered.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like, you gotta pay your dues, right? Like, that idea still holds true today. And there was one story that we had hired somebody, and he was contracted for a date, and he calls me up like 2 or 3 days before the gig, and he's like, yeah, listen, man, sorry, something came up, I can't do it. And then I find out that he basically dropped my gig so he could do a better paying gig. And I found this out. I never worked with that person again. So, one in hand is worth two in the bush, right? So, like, if you already have a job, you take that job because you will mess up a relationship if that person finds out.
Roland, that is a hunting metaphor, which is basically you don't count on, birds in the air. It doesn't mean anything. You got to have it shot. You got to have it in your hand. You got to have it recovered.
Okay.
The only thing that means something is
when you haven't got the carcass yet, it doesn't count.
Listen, 5 birds up in the air that you're shooting at and missing doesn't mean anything.
You're saying 2 in the bush. That would refer. I feel like that means they're on the ground.
Well, then I guess what you're saying is you've yet to shoot at them or let them fly.
No.
It's definitely.
I felt like they were dead, but the bodies was in the ground, and you hadn't got them yet.
Okay, we don't have to like JFK, like where the bullet came from. This thing.
Oh, but by the way, have you seen that released footage? It's crazy.
Which one is
JFK?
Well, there was another camera now.
No, because they withheld. We're gonna go on a rabbit hole.
Is this Zapruder though? Okay.
But have you seen all the footage?
No,
because
I've just seen like the famous stuff.
It was withheld. Those frames were only released because part of the contract was the actual firing would have to be withheld. Recently, over the last few years, they were leaked or released, and then frame by frame, Steadicammed. So that way you can watch on a really large frame as it's shaking. You can watch it take place in slow motion. And it's a very
Did he actually shoot him?
Wow.
You don't see the shooter. That's the point. You just you see the parade and you see everything take place, and the footage is remarkable. It's
I gotta watch it.
It's something else. It's
it
graphic.
wasn't him.
It's
right?
graphic.
It was something else happening.
It's graphic.
I'll watch it.
But it's yeah, and then especially if you watch the Netflix George Clooney, CBS Walter Cronkite documentary.
Yeah.
If you watch those two combined, it's something else.
Okay.
Anywho.
Cool.
Yeah, back to the topic.
Nice.
Okay, so
Freelancers.
Hold on,
I don't know if we
I had one additional thing, but now I don't remember what it was.
well, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're going to, is it about JFK? Because if not, then we
It's
can
not
move
about
on.
JFK.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys already answered this, but what are the best online services that can facilitate working with freelancers? Is it just Googling them, or are there any other like sort of websites or things that you
Posting
can
your
trust?
Media Job Search Canada, like posting it as
Okay.
a posting.
All right.
Pay for it, yeah.
That's like the best website in Canada.
I wouldn't go Kijiji Craigslist. I've done
No.
it before.
No.
You're gonna shit yourself just thinking about it.
It's garbage. Now he did, sorry. The second part of the question was, if you need to go to a different city, we produce in areas outside of our local area all the time, and we help companies who are outside of Toronto come to Toronto and produce. And so that's a pretty standard thing in our industry. What you want to do is look for like-minded companies that are similar to your own, similar size, similar likeness, who can help service you. We're right now quoting out a production in Chicago, and so we have to look at is it in our client's best interest to hire a Chicago-based company to handle everything, and then we'll do pre-pro and post-production? Is it in the client's best interest, i.e., like, is it cheaper to hire a local company to just provide gear and tech and then fly down our own director? Or is it in the client's best interest to fly down our whole staff and then hire local gear to service the production? And whether that's, to the States or to Europe or to Caribbean or anywhere in Canada, that's the way we look at it. We're like, what's best? But the place to start is to treat it the same way you would in your local market for someone, right? Find a like-minded company. We have in Vancouver, right?
If you need someone in Toronto, give us a call.
In Vancouver, we use Base 2 all the time because they're very similar to us, like similar size, similar mindset. Like we focus on slightly different sides of production than the way they do. We wouldn't produce a project the same way. But we get along. We get along well, and it makes sense for them to help us when we're in Vancouver. And I suppose if they were in Toronto, we've never really had the opportunity, but
right.
I'm sure it would go the other way.
So city to city, things are pretty similar. You just have to do the same thing.
Well, it all depends because if you're producing something under your company, you don't want to just hire a freelancer and send by themselves. You want to hire a company to go with alone or with you. Now, if you're flying, then you can kind of take more of the risk to get a freelancer.
Because you're going to be with them.
There,
you can supervise.
so you can supervise everything. Like when I did a shoot this summer, I scoped out the whole production company route, but I was gonna fly regardless to every one of the cities. And the production company, of course, is more expensive because that's how it works. But I was able to find actually freelancers who were really good, who worked with the production companies I was originally looking at. So I just went straight to them and talked to them. I was able to connect with every single one of them, and I hired them and I worked with them, and it all worked out well.
Cool.
Awesome.
But it really depends on the city. I mean, we've produced in Miami a few times, and I don't know why, but gear down there is super, super, super cheap.
That's just America.
Rental gear is cheap. Just American.
New York too. Remember?
Okay, but in Miami it's cheap, but it's really hard to find a great talent. I don't know if it's because they have like lots of lawyers.
Everyone's retired and old there.
Well, it feels like it's like lawyers and used car lots, that kind of local TV type commercial, which is different than what we produce. But if you go up to Orlando, if you're in New York, if you're in Chicago, if you're in other areas, we shot in Dallas or Houston? Where were we shooting? Okay, Dallas, Houston, even in the Midwest. There's lots of great people, but there are certain areas where I think if just the local market is not used to supporting great marketing or advertising, there's great agencies, but there doesn't seem to be that technical talent there all the time. We found that in Puerto Rico. We were producing something for a client in Puerto Rico, and it wasn't the language barrier. It was like the equipment we were looking for did not exist on the island. They would have to fly it in from Miami. Because the companies just didn't have the professionalism and the experience. Yeah. Even though lots of people, we were at the Ritz-Carlton Ritz-Carlton, Puerto Rico, like an American territory, but they just didn't have what we were used to having, and it was very expensive to operate the way we were used to. Like when we were in Dominican, those guys that we hired, the local production crew who brought out like the Jenny, like I took pictures of it. Like the wiring was like what were we using? We were using 240 joy cables and stuff like that, or how much power is going through like a standard joy box and all the cabling and stuff?
I don't know, quite a bit.
Okay, quite a bit. It was like duct taped together. It was like 50 years old. It was a joke.
Pretty ghetto.
So it's just you got to work with what you got sometimes. What do they say? Smoke them if you got them.
Yeah, I like that.
We've had a lot of catchphrases for this episode.
Welcome to the catchphrase episode.
All right, so another
Next.
question. Yeah. What are the timelines like when you're hiring a freelancer? If you're
Timelines for
obviously
what?
you have to be like super new at it to not know this, but so say you want a freelancer to do a production for you in a month. Like when do you start looking for them? When do you have to book them by? Like when do they fill up, or when does
A
their
month early or a
Yeah.
day before? I don't know.
You should
Whatever-
always be
whatever
looking
works.
for them.
So wait, it doesn't. There's no like real.
It all depends if your production is complicated, but all you need is a camera guy to go with you to set up 3-point lighting for 2 interviews. I mean, you can, if you're in a jam, you can find it the day before,
Yeah,
2 days
we've
before.
done that. Yeah.
All right, but otherwise, like ideally, how far in advance do you book people?
There's no ideally. There's no such thing as an
No.
ideal. It's whenever it happens.
Yeah.
When we were working on commercial, I was looking for people until like 4 days before the production.
Right.
I've done stuff where, and it's stressful, but I've done stuff where literally like a day and a half before you're like, we have no sound guy. Like
Yeah.
there's this big hole, and you're like, okay, well, what plan B if we have no sound guy? I guess we'll figure
I
shit
guess
out.
for us it's easy because we have like a list, so we just go through the list and find people. If
Yeah.
you're brand new, then yeah, start looking right
You
away.
have to throw money at
Build
it.
relationships.
Throw money at it. Throw money at
Right.
it. Throw money at it.
Yeah.
It's just like, money will cure a lot of your problems if you can throw money at it.
Yeah.
And
As long as your budget is kind of what it should be, then it shouldn't be too hard to find like-minded people to work.
and is there like a typical cost?
Well, hold
for
on,
a
but it shouldn't
freelancer?
be. But like over Christmas, we were crazy busy,
Yeah.
and we were trying to staff this production, and literally everyone was used to not. Should I say literally? But everyone was used to getting early January off, and we had these like 3 big productions. We had so much trouble finding staff because people had been like, "Well, we never work early January.
But it's
Right.
Christmas.
We're going to take time off." And then we're like looking and looking and
Yeah.
looking and looking for people, because it's not that people weren't willing to work. They just previously planned vacation.
Yeah.
And so no matter how much money we could throw at them, it's like, we're not going to buy you out of vacation. We're not going to, this is a similar conversation to locations.
Yeah.
Like locations is this big thing that takes time. It's this big black hole. How do you find it? How do you negotiate? What do you pay? All of those things. Similar process. Like ultimately, at the end of the day, sometimes you have to throw money at making it work, or go the other way and just get super scrappy and be like, "Hey, uncle, I desperately need something for this day. Can you make it work?" And for some reason, in our experience, like things just kind of work out. They kind of line up, right? We haven't had to cancel
Sure.
something because we didn't have it.
No, not with me.
And
It can't happen.
is there a spectrum of cost for freelancing?
For sure.
Like
Yeah.
and like how careful should you be with that? Should you always go like mid range, high range?
What are you looking for? Depends on your needs.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're doing something that's
And it depends on the person's experiences. You have to decide what you're willing to pay based on what you think you can get for people, and based off of what level of professionalism you're looking for.
So, for example, me, sometimes when I do a simpler project, let's say 2 people interview, I'm comfortable coming with a guy who's not maybe experienced, but because I can do everything myself, I just need a second set of eyes to monitor while I'm asking questions. But if you absolutely know nothing, then
Yeah.
you need to probably
Yeah.
just make sure that person can take care of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, when we're looking for a camera assistant on a really large production, that is an important role.
Absolutely.
That is an
Right.
important role because it has to do with data management, has to do with setting up the camera, has to do with focus pulling.
Yep.
Like that role is really, really, really important. And I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. I used to camera op in television and stuff, but I wasn't like a technical director. I didn't set any of that stuff up on a Red or an Alexa. I don't have any experience with that. So even if I was the best director in the world, when it comes to your DOP, when it comes to your camera assistant, like sound.
Like it's
when it comes to your
the top
sound
tier positions.
when it comes to your sound operator, those are people that are really expensive to screw up. Really, really expensive to screw up.
Right.
Yeah.
But your lighting person, provided they're not whatever your grip or gaff,
It all
provided they're
depends on
not doing illegal things or dangerous things, you can
They're not
see on
drunk.
camera when it's crappy.
It all depends on the scale of the production.
Yeah,
like I
it's the
say, if it's a
project.
small interview,
Yeah.
you need people who are good, but it doesn't have to be award-winning DOP.
Exactly.
But if you're doing like a commercial, then you want to make sure you have good people.
When I
Right.
first worked
Because
with
good
Roland,
people and bad people, there's a big difference. Even down to a lighting guy, if you're doing a commercial, you want really good people, and they cost more money.
when I first worked with Roland, we were shooting on a PD-170, which was a mini DV tape-based camera. It was already way out of date. It was so out of date that I told Roland we were shooting on it, and he was like, he had to go back and like read the manuals to be like, I haven't worked with this in like 6 or 7 years. It was so out of date. The thing is, I was used to working as the camera operator myself. I knew the camera inside and out. I knew how to really, from a camera point of view, get the most out of it. And I remember there was this shot Roland was trying to get, and he wasn't used to my crappy head on the tripod. He wasn't used to this crappy camera. He wasn't used to just how crappy this was. And I remember being like, I'm standing over his shoulder. I'm like, do you want me just to get the shot? It was this shot like going through a fence, like panning through a fence and then racking from the fence to like a dump truck, a cement mixer or something. And I was like, do you just want me to get this shot? Like, seriously, I know I could get it. And so a lot of it was Roland teaching me really what gear, like, we bought new gear before he even came on board with us full time. And he went and he helped me source the gear. He was a nice guy, right? He helped me source the gear. He helped me pick up the gear. We went to Cinequip and we picked it up. He set up all the cameras for me. This was what he was doing without charging me hours as a freelancer. And so, when you have good people, they're good people. When you have bad people, they're bad people. But there's a reason why, 6 years later, we're still working together and trust each other. And, it started right from the very beginning.
From the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like all my questions I think I have about the topic.
Cool. Are there any other last minute things?
I just wanted to kind of like chime in. Like Daniel, I don't know your business, but
Personal message.
you may or may not need a freelancer, man. I mean,
We normally don't do this.
the thing about freelancers is
You should play violin.
Sorry. Hold on. Yeah. Daniel, I want you to listen to this, okay, buddy? This is from,
Violin music now?
from the Not So Corporate podcast. Right to you, buddy.
Straight from the heart.
Here you go. Go ahead, Liv.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
it
you
away.
for that
Take
setup.
it away.
So yeah, when I was freelancing, when I was kind of helping the business that I was a part of, trying to make work, the look that we had established, the feel, kind of the package that we were providing to our clients, it took years to develop that. Years. And freelancers, I mean, they're guns for hire. They come in, they do a job. So they don't always know the nuances of your product, right? What you're trying to put together. So like they're great. Freelancers are fantastic in, if in a pinch you need them to, you need to work with them. Everyone should work with freelancers or at least have a roster of them to pick and choose from. But it may or may not be what you need, because like we tried it especially with editing. We tried it. We took people out of school. I spent like a year training them, trying to get the look, and they couldn't grab it. And sometimes it takes a long time to develop that. So yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I would totally agree with you. Your core crew, if you think of yourself, Roland throws this word a lot around internally, but, like the collective. Your core crew of people, whether they're freelance or whether they're contract workers or full-time or friends, you need that core group of people. And then from there, everyone who's not in that core group, in my mind, is a freelancer.
Yeah.
But even the guys that, that we work with on a freelance basis, we've worked with for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. We bring them out to all of our projects.
Yeah.
Like, there's, how many we say? 3, 4 guys? 3 or 4 people maybe?
Let's make it 5. Sounds better.
Great. Okay, so there's 5 guys who we and it depends on if we have 2 productions going on multiple. Like sometimes we have 3 productions on one day.
Yeah.
Because of the way things line up, and then that way we're going like, oh crap, how are we going to staff this, and who's getting who, and what's best for them. But the reason why I like to hold on to these guys, these people, is because we want to treat them like employees. So we want to give them the opportunity to get better.
Yeah.
We want to coach them. I don't know how they see us. I've never really sat down with Chris or Paul or these other people and said, how do you see us? But with some of them, we go, where do you want to go in your career? What do you want to do? What do you want to get better at? What should we give you more responsibility as? We have this opportunity. Are you up for it? Should we take a chance on you to turn you from a camera assistant to a DOP, from a DOP to a PM? Should we do this or not? And so I hear what you're saying, and I agree. It's a struggle to grab all these people and just make stuff work. But that's because you treat your freelancers like a core crew or like a collective, or maybe like a partner. Maybe some of these key roles are going to be more of a partnership role, not your legal partnership, but you're just going to agree. Hey, every project I get, you're going to DOP, and you are my DOP, and you're going to be on record at my company, and we're going to leverage your past work, and you being a part of our collective is going to help me, but I'm literally going to give you every project that comes along. Yeah. And you are our main go-to person, and you're going to be in control of the budget, and you're going to help me budget it, and you're going to help me come up with jumping off points or whatever. Roland helped me buy equipment. Yeah. I didn't have any exclusivity with him, but it was in his best interest to help me buy the equipment because I was working with him enough where he's just like, Mark, you got to get rid of this terrible equipment.
But he became an employee, right? That's what
he asked for it though.
Yeah.
I posted the producer role, and like 3 or 4 weeks in, right towards the end, I already had like 2 other people that I was interviewing and picked. And he's like, hey, you know what? I think I saw this role was out there. I didn't even think of him for the role. I didn't even offer him the role. He came and he pitched me on it. And he changed the company, Yep. He has built single-handedly.
One finger.
No, but he's really shaped the company we've become. So, Daniel.
Cool.
I hope
before we wrap
question.
up, something else Daniel mentioned in his thing, because I was rereading it.
Thanks for the great content, which is what he ends with.
He did say thanks for the great. But he said, I know some people use students from local colleges. What do you guys think of that? We think no.
We've never done it. Have we ever done that? Maybe if you're in an environment where the whole market is so bad that
it depends where you are. Too.
The people in college have as much experience as the people not in college. Then I guess it's nothing to lose. We're in an industry town. We are in like Atlanta and New York and LA and Vancouver and Toronto. I save in Montreal. They're industry towns of film where. The people are almost looking down on some of the work we're doing because it's so high, so up there. But if you're in a marketplace where there's not a lot of industry, then
you can try to see it in route, but you're not gonna find freelancers there. Don't think that you're gonna find magic there.
No, you're gonna have to mold and build those people.
But the only thing you could do is maybe find 1 or 2 like-minded people who want to somehow be part of your business, whether it be partner up or just they want to grow just as much as you want to grow, and then 5 years down the line, they're going to be better, they're going to have more experience, and then you're going to be a better company, and you did it together. So it might be an option to look for a long-term kind of thing, but I don't think trying to hire students.
No matter what, though,
not for like what he's saying here, which is like to staff productions.
No, you need
definitely not.
You need the last thing you need is a vision, right? Like you need a vision of who you are, who you want to be, where you want to go, the type of projects you want to work on, because without that, you cannot. You can't attract the right people. You're never going to be able to get the people who want to come and work for you and back you. So no matter what, yes, put out the postings, ask for people to give you referrals, get the budgets, get the things, but first start with the vision of who you are and who you want to be. So anyway, Daniel, once again, thanks so much. If you guys want to check out more about Daniel, check him out, Zen Pictures out of Calgary. Maybe drop him a note and let him know that you love him.
Or you're a freelancer and you're awesome
yeah.
and you want to join
I didn't
up.
even think of that. If you're listening in Calgary and you're looking for freelance work, contact Daniel
Pisterzi.
Pisterzi. Pisterzi. Pisterzi. Pisterzi, man. The hardest name for me to say. You don't know how many takes we did off the top for me to get the guys to say,
You
say your
didn't
name.
get it.
But
We had to do it.
I never got
all
it. But Pisterzi. I hope I'm saying
Yeah, me and
it.
Roland harmonized. Yeah, it was good.
Harmonized. Anyway, guys, we're still looking. Hello, podcast listeners. We're still looking for Leah's replacement. The right person
We're not
hasn't.
gonna be
No
able
one
to
has
find
met
it.
the standards.
hasn't.
No one.
hasn't
We're not gonna be
applied
able
yet.
to find it.
You don't think so? You think our
There's no
standards
way
are
to
too
replace Leah.
incredibly high? Well, Leah, why don't you give us an update?
There's no way to replace a pregnant woman that talks a lot and eats carrots
You
all day
started
long.
so good there.
You started really, really
Carrots all
nice.
day
You started
long.
really nice. Anyway, Leah, hit us with the update.
Like a bunny.
Okay, everyone.
How many weeks till Leah has her baby?
There are 2 more weeks and then I'm gone.
2 more weeks.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, 2 more weeks and Friday, plus Friday. So 11 days
13
total
days apparently
that are
total.
work days. Roland really needs like a serious update every day. He asks me how many more days we have to work together.
Wow.
13 days.
Oh, man, we're going to miss you.
I know. I'm going to miss working. I think that I'm going to.
I don't think you are.
Oh, really? I
I
think
think you're
am.
going to be like, oh, my goodness, this beautiful little baby boy, and I get to spend time with my other boy, and you don't have to pay for daycare, which saves you money. And
Yeah,
I think
it's
you're gonna
different the
love
second
it.
time because I do think today I was like sipping my Starbucks and reading Adweek, like looking for a cool story, and I was like, this is nice. Like, that's not.
You can do that
What,
anyway.
the Starbucks part or the other
I don't
part?
find that I can. I find that when your kids are sleeping, which how do you get 2 to sleep at the same time? You are
Well,
doing
alcohol.
laundry or cleaning up messes or like making dinner.
You're not supposed to give your kid alcohol. Hey, your
Why
son's
not?
birthday was yesterday.
That's right.
First
Really?
birthday.
1 year.
One?
1
Did you
year.
give him some cake? Did you do the cake all over his face thing?
The mash or whatever?
What? Yeah, where they
Like a
just
cake
pick it up
smash?
and they
Cake
just
smash.
Yeah.
No.
No, you guys are too much of a neat freak for that and a
Yeah,
germaphobe.
it's
You're
gotta
like, "Ooh,
clean it
I
after."
don't want his hands touching the cake. How
It's
dare
gonna
he?"
get dirty after.
We didn't do a cake smash, but we gave him a piece of cake at his birthday party.
Isn't that the same thing?
No, like a cake smash, they do like photo shoots.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
really
My-
popular now. They do like
Oh.
a photo
They
shoot.
just make a mess of it and
And
you
they
take
get-
pictures.
The cake is like 90% icing too, so they can really get crazy with it.
No, we don't do that. See,
No.
where I come from, you don't wreck the dress. You don't do any of this BS
What's
stuff.
wreck the dress?
Trash the dress.
Trash the
Correct.
dress. After you get married, you do a follow-up photo
Right.
shoot in the dress where you ruin it. Either you go swimming, or you go into a lake, or you light it on fire, or you do stuff
Wow,
like
you're
that.
gonna need it again.
Oh my goodness! People light their dresses on fire.
That's the thing.
Yeah, paintball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like
Well, aren't
in,
you gonna need that dress again just
in
in
our
case you get
Instagram
divorced?
world. No,
Oh,
because
man.
you buy a
I
new
don't
dress.
Bad
think
luck.
you would
It's bad
wear
luck.
the
Can't wear it
same
again.
dress.
Roland, trust me. You buy a new dress
Yeah.
for each wedding.
Really?
That
do
is rule number 1.
Oh, I didn't.
bad
know.
luck.
Why? It costs money.
I don't know. I think I still have mine, but I would like to sell it.
I made my
especially
wife.
Now that I just have
I made
boys.
my wife save it, and she wanted to just give it away, and I'm like,
Yeah.
my mom hand sewed the
Oh,
dress.
no, you gotta keep that.
and she's-
that's
and I'm-
different.
Well, no, because my wife's like, well, one, I'm never gonna wear it again,
No.
and it doesn't have. It has a lot of sentimental value to me, I guess, but for her, it's like it takes up a lot of space in the closet.
Your
because
your wife's wedding dress has a lot of sentimental value for you.
I enjoyed marrying my wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but for you, it makes sense. I feel like Rachel and Jordan could play with it. They can dress up in it when they're little. I
No,
definitely put on
no.
my mom's
Or they
No.
can get married in
hideous wedding dress when I
No.
was little.
No. Anyway,
They can't try it on. The little girls love that kind of stuff. I only have sons.
listen.
I don't
If I were to somehow, let's play this forward, right? Again, if I were somehow a widower, and I'm doing the Sound of Music thing, right? I got my whistle, my kids all answer to the beat. I got the nanny who's singing and taking care of them, making clothing out of furniture. In that situation, then yes, at the coming of age, my daughter can go into the dress so that way I can then sentimentally go, oh, you look just like your mother.
Not,
and then
not
have a
when
moment.
they're older. They can play with it now, like dress
No.
up when they're little girls.
They have dresses just for dress up.
Oh, we
My
always played
wife's
with my grandma's
graduation
and-
my wife's graduation dress they dress up in and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wouldn't let them try on her wedding dress. I bet
She probably would.
Yeah.
I'm not letting them
I think
touch it.
Roland has fallen into like a meditative state.
Anyways, you didn't let them try cake? No, I just want to know this. You didn't let them try it?
No,
Leah.
not yet.
Because it's pretty funny
Let's
and
leave it a
cute.
mystery.
No, he's had Nutella before.
Okay, that's a cake.
And ice cream.
Like Rowan was like, "What the hell have you been feeding me? This is amazing."
Listen, guys, thanks so much. We're running long.
Is that it?
Unless there's anything else you want to talk about, is there anything you want to get off your chest?
No, I'm good.
That's everything, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Roland, Leah, Louis, thanks for joining me
And
this
Baby
week.
Crompton.
My pleasure.
And Baby Crompton early.
Yep.
There we go.
Anyway, thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week. What about now?
That's good.
What about now?
Is that too loud, or you need more?
No, it's good.
Show, brother.
That's good.
Check it out.
There we go. We're getting pumped.